Listen to the rumble. Listen to the roar. Slowly in 3. They'll be flying off 4. Watch them now.
All right, here we go. We got a nice guest this weekend. Young man I've known for a few years. My buddy Tony Tierney is here, and we're with the podcast. We're going to have guests that are old racers. We're going to talk about old racers. We might have guys that are into new racing. We're going to jump all over. I've said that before. The cool thing about Tony is he is a racing guy that exists today in vintage racing and modern racing, what most of our generation knows. It's the sons and the nephews and the grandsons of legendary racers. And Tony is no exception. Tony is 31 years old. I'll get it right out of the way. His uncle was Poncho Rendon. That's how I say it right.
Perfect.
And Poncho was a legendary drag racer. And we're going to let Tony talk all about that. But first, I want to talk about the first time the first time I met you. I am guessing I called Mike Whitney and kind of touched base. And we're pretty sure it was Good Guys Indy. The year we all took our hot rods up there and we all camped out. And you were there with your uncle. You guys had a swap meet space.
Swap meet spot, yeah.
And we got loose in the campground.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I remember, ripping donuts in the mud. It rained. We had mini bikes there. Yeah. We had a mini bike there that had an engine on it. Scott Williams and I had a little mini bike that we had built, like a mini bike chopper. And the engine wasn't running, and we just figured we'd get it running when we were there. And we literally scoured the swap meet for parts. We ended up going across the street to the old King of Lawn lawnmower place to get parts out of there. We got it running. We rode it. We spent more time in the campgrounds partying than we did at the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I had to, work the swap meet and stuff.
And you had been young then.
I was probably...
Were you 14, 15?
Yeah.
I don't know, you weren't driving.
No, I wasn't driving, yeah.
You were young,
I rode from the swap meet on my mini bike to the campgrounds. And, it was only a half a mile, a quarter mile or whatever, but I did end up getting pulled over.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
The Indy cops got you?
Yeah, Roscoe got me, and I was like, I'm going, man. I'm going right to the campground, so...
They were pretty pissed at everyone that weekend in the campgrounds, like just from getting wild, and we were.
Oh yeah, there's big toter homes, and they were just plastered with mud. I
wouldn't know anything about that.
No. One of the guys, Matt, up from Ionia, I think he left Friday morning.
Did he?
Yeah.
He'd had enough.
Yeah, he had enough. Yeah.
It went all night. It was a blast. We had a ball. And,
for sure.
It's funny too, because when you think of Good Guys Indy, that show, it rained every year. At least one day would rain
Consistently for probably 8 years.
Yeah,
something like that.
So it was always a muddy mess,
yeah.
and you knew what you were in for when you got there.
Yeah.
But man, I want to talk about your uncle first. Tell me, you wrote a really excellent history about your uncle on the Jalopy Journal on the Ham page. And the Ham is the hokey-ass message board. It's on the Jalopy Journal website. It's a traditional hot rod website. Great stuff on there if you guys want to learn more about traditional hot rodding and every single person in the world's opinion about it, head there. You wrote a really cool history about it. Take me back to day one with Poncho. What got him started with cars?
I really don't know. Nobody in his family, parents or anything like that. His parents didn't even drive.
Was he from here?
Grew up here? From here. Yeah, he was born in Armada, Michigan, and he got in some trouble one time, and I said, "Oh, I hear you're getting deported," and he goes, "Where? To Armada?" But no, as far as I can gather, I really didn't talk to him about it much. But at the end of the street, there was a gas station. And he had this ratty old bike, they're a poor family. And it was always, the chain was breaking or the tires were, got holes in them and stuff. and there was a brand new bike in the window of the gas station. It was around Easter time, and they had a jar of jelly beans, and guess how many jelly beans were,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So every day he'd put a ticket in there with a number on it, and there's only one person, you know, one ticket per person, but every day he'd go, you know. I'm not even sure if he guessed the right number, but the guys at the gas station ended up giving it to him.
That's cool.
You know, and so from there, you know, he just, and that at that time he was probably 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
And started hanging around there a lot, and just watching the guys and do whatever, oil change, brake jobs and stuff. And it got to the point where he'd do a brake job or something, and they'd let him go test it, you know.
Damn.
He'd drive it home, go to lunch or whatever, you know, and come back. And you know,
We
so
talking 1950s here? 40s, 50s?
he was born in 42, so yeah,
Okay,
you're talking
so
about 52.
Man,
Yeah,
perfect
53.
time.
Yeah. And,
The time we all wish we grew up.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, I think that, you know, the gas station at the end of the street really kind of started him into cars and
That's
stuff.
awesome. I saw on there, on that report you wrote, a Red Willys, but do you know what his first, I mean, I shouldn't say first hot rod, first drag car, what came first? What was his earliest hot rod you know of with him?
He had a 36 coupe
Okay.
with an Olds motor in it. And he had to save forever to get that starter change over, flip it over to the other side to clear the gearbox.
That's awesome. It's funny how you remember a guy like that remembers something like that.
For sure,
we
yeah.
all do. You know, you remember something you save up for.
Right.
That now is just trivial.
And after that, he had a 40 coupe with a Pontiac in it, and it was really weird. It was buddy Jerry.
Yeah.
He built a 40 coupe with a 389 Pontiac.
I immediately
in it.
thought about Jerry's coupe when you
And,
said that.
First test rip, Jerry brought it over to my uncle's, and Jerry didn't know that my uncle had built this car when he was young. So my uncle, really dug it. It was really cool, and Jerry actually made it to the funeral in the car and stuff like
that's
that.
cool.
There was a bunch of hot rods and stuff.
That is cool.
It was pretty cool.
When your uncle first started drag racing, did he drive, or was he always just a owner, crew chief type guy?
He did drive once. It was his first race car. Him and his buddy Jerry Wilson had a '64 Tempest AFX car.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And where was this at? I mean, which drag strips?
More than likely Detroit,
Okay,
Dragway, and stuff like that. He drove that once. 12 seconds, a little over 100 mile an hour, and that was fast enough for him.
Really?
And that was the only thing he ever drove.
And just went to wrenching and making them fast.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So yeah, then after that, the Tempest was the Willys. He owned it. Him and his buddies owned it. It was kind of back and forth and everything. But at one time, it was like a off-white, and then it was pink.
Yeah.
It's called the Entertainer.
That's cool. That's
And,
cool. What engine was in that?
Started out with a 392,
Okay.
injected 392, always ran A gas, and then eventually went to a 426 Hemi on it.
Is that the car that I believe was the first Willys with a...
Yeah, supposedly in the Detroit area,
Yeah.
the first car with a 426 on it.
I mean, that's an icon. Everyone thinks back to drag racing history, and you think, 40 Willys coupe with a Hemi in it.
Yeah.
So and there's always guys in each city, each town that was the guy that had one.
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I know he went on. I want you to kind of walk me through from the coupe into the funny cars and the dragsters, because as this story goes, you're going to hear legendary names that drove for your uncle that are mind blowing. Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Let it rip.
Yeah, after the Willys, he started hanging around with Connie Coletta. I actually went to high school with him. My grandma went to high school with him. And so Coletta was running the camera cars and stuff like that, front engine cars, and went through a few of them. And then my uncle actually picked up one of his old ones, actually the one that was on the cover of Hot Rod.
Okay.
In the wind tunnel.
Yeah.
My uncle got that car from him. And him and Dave Miller campaigned that car, and they were runner-up in A-Gas dragster, or A-Fuel dragster, I'm sorry, at Indy.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't remember who they lost to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, same paint, everything, the gold with the chute pack, an injected camera motor in it. and it just said Rendon and Miller on the side of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you any idea where that car's at?
No, I sure don't.
I mean, unfortunately, it would probably get restored back to Coletta's car, but it'd be cool to know where the car is. You know,
yeah, absolutely. If I were to find any one of those cars, it would definitely be that one. And, yeah, it was a pretty bitchin' car.
How was your uncle funding this stuff? Was he? I mean,
he never had a 9-to-5 job.
Okay.
You know, he did own a gas station and ran, the garage part of it and everything for a couple of years, but basically he just did everything at home, just wrenching on cars and swapping parts out and stuff like that and selling parts, and that's pretty much how he did it.
Wow.
But back then it was a guy could do that.
Yeah.
A guy could actually go fuel racing and do decent at it. Or today, you have to be a multi-millionaire to
with
even
an
show up.
Entire orchestra and team of people. Yeah. I'm sure the guys that take care of feeding them has a bigger job than.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's just insane. Yeah. You mentioned Coletta, and I heard a story of we're going to move a little further along, of a rear engine car that had covered front wheels.
Yeah.
And was that the car Coletta took a ride in?
No.
Okay.
Actually, the car that Coletta had crashed was the next in line from.
Okay, tell me that story.
Yeah. The car was a wedge car. Perdome had one.
Yeah.
There's a few other guys that had one.
They went. Were they? They went from canards to full wedges, or did they just go straight to wedges?
They went straight to wedges.
Because some of them got crazy.
There was some canard wings. There were some front engine cars with some canard wings, but
cool.
It was they thought it would be more aerodynamic. The rear tires were covered. It was basically a big wedge going down the track. They were at Indy. There's a lot of different stories about who was supposed to drive it and how Connie got in the car and whatever else, but Gene Demolowski was supposed to drive it.
Was this a brand new car?
This is a brand new Logie car.
First time out.
There may have been a couple test hits
at
Milan or Detroit Dragway, but this was the first national event. The car was being debuted at. It was painted. It was basically white with red and blue trim. And that was it. There was nothing on it but a driver's number, and so they were in the staging lanes, and Coletta said, "Hey, let me hop in and give this thing a rip down the track." And yeah, go ahead. And rattled the tires, and it was first time in a rear engine car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So you can get sideways to a certain point in a front engine car. And get back, pedal it and get back in it and go down the track. Well, it's a lot different in a rear engine car. And supposedly that's the story. It just came around on him and that was it. And there was parts. They didn't even know where he was at.
Jeez.
He was in a cage, in the life cage, and that was it. He was down in the dirt, off the side of the track. The clutch went through the marathon sign.
Jeez.
And there was a black guy that used to stand right at the finish line at the marathon sign, and Ron Rickman, and the clutch was flying through the air right above him, glass shattering everywhere over him, and
wow.
He came back to my uncle later on that weekend, and he goes, "Hey Poncho, you ever wanted to see a white black man?" That was the time to see it.
Jeez,
and there was nothing left of the car. There's some pictures of it all wadded up.
I saw
those. Pickup.
They're on. I saw they were in a pickup and just. Yeah. it's literally chunks of race car. You can see red tubing, and that's all.
Yeah, that's all. I
can make out like a wheel and like a head. The engine's laying there. You can tell the engine took a tumble. All the valve covers ripped off. The headers are ripped off.
Nothing.
Jeez.
Nothing was.
How was Connie? Obviously he survived.
He survived. They took him to the hospital, and by the time my uncle got everything situated at the track, went to the hospital, he was already gone.
Really?
Yep. And the next day, got into his funny car and qualified.
Man, tough guys.
Oh, for sure, for sure. When he pulled the chutes, the restraints yanked on his chest, and he was all bruised up. And
my gosh.
Yeah, he qualified the funny car, and I don't know how far he went through the race, but yeah.
Unreal.
Tough guy for sure.
You mentioned the difference between rear engine and front engine dragsters. Did Poncho ever own or run any front engine dragsters, or was he in just funny cars?
Well, just the Rendon and LaHaye, or the Rendon and Miller car.
Okay, that was the front engine car.
That was it, yeah.
Okay, and then the funny cars I know he dealt with a lot. When did we've got the Detroit Tiger car?
Yep.
Was that for early in line? Was that later?
That was the end.
Okay, that was the end.
Yeah.
When did Shirley come into the picture?
Shirley,
Downey.
She came in at about 73. After Connie crashed the car in 71, Shirley and Connie were, racing together, the two funny cars, and so my uncle would help her for a while, and go to different tracks and stuff for about a year or so. I want to say 72, he came out with the Frito Bandito, Poncho Rendon's Frito Bandito. And it was a pretty bitchin' car.
That's cool.
Anything he'd built, was to the T. Everything was polished. Everything was clocked just right. And no matter where it went, it had to be clean. And
wow.
It was, he just really took pride in the stuff, So that was the car that Shirley ended up getting a ride in. Yeah.
Okay.
So the driver was Gene Demolowski. So that was about 72. 73, she got her license. She was the first woman to have a top fuel license and an NHRA. So that was pretty cool. She did that in Cayuga.
Okay.
In Canada. Ran 660 at like 212, something like that.
Way quicker than I've been.
Right, yeah. Yeah, me too. But that was just, to get her going down the track and stuff. There wasn't any blistering pass or anything.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. She gave my uncle a watch, and on the back of the watch it's engraved, the time and speed and everything.
Oh, man.
And it says,
that's cool.
Love Cha-Cha on the bottom of it. So.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I'm not a watch wearer, but if I were to wear a watch, that'd be the one.
Very cool. I've seen lots of really neat pictures of your uncle with Shirley. Mm-hmm. And the pits and on the line and that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, nobody really cared to help her out. She left New York and came to Detroit, and she had bought one of Coletta's funny cars, but nobody really wanted to help her out or anything. And my uncle was there and did what he could, helped her out. So
one of the first racing movies I showed my wife Jenny was Heart Like a Wheel.
Yeah.
The Shirley Downey movie.
Right.
A really good movie, neat movie. If you're into racing, and especially if you got kids or a wife that you want to show them a racing movie, show them that movie. It's a good story. Was your uncle involved in that?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't in the movie. There was a guy that played him.
Okay, I wondered
in the
that
movie
because it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I don't know where they were, but Coletta was in the staging lanes, and there was a Mexican guy sitting on the front tire. His name was Carlos.
Okay.
That's
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember hearing. Okay.
Carlos, you bastard! He's coming after him with a red rag. But that was supposed to be my uncle. But it's a great movie, yes. But it's maybe about 60% true.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Any time you deal with Hollywood and racing movies, you're along for the ride, and what they feel like telling you is different than what. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Take me now. When was the last year your uncle raced? What did he race up till?
79 through the year of 79. That was
okay.
It. Yeah.
Very good.
So
now and then, how did you and him get hooked up?
He's my great uncle. He's my mom's uncle. I've been around him since I was a baby, the day I was born.
Very cool.
Came to a point, maybe I was about 7 years old, that I just decided I want to hang out with him, so I moved in with him.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was roughly 50, 52 years old. All his friends are getting rid of their kids, going to college, and he's taking on a new one, And it's a pretty big deal, he's wasn't married or anything like that, and didn't really have a 9-to-5 steady income or anything. And here he is taking on a kid.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
He did a fine job, and you made a fine choice. What was he doing when you? I mean, what's your earliest memories with him? Is it hot rods? Is it just street cars?
Just being in the garage, just hanging out, hot rods and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. 'Cause after racing, that's all he did was hot rods and stuff.
What were some of the hot rods he played with and built?
I grew up in a 34 four-door sedan, a candy apple red one.
Cool.
Crushed red velour interior.
I've seen that car. Yep.
That was the car I grew up in, and I have many memories, in that car for sure.
That's cool. What kind of engine's in that car?
327.
Good. That's excellent. I'm a 327 guy. That is cool. We talked about when I first met you, and then I immediately started hearing, because when I had first met you, Poncho had a swap meet space at Indy, and I was very fortunate we figured out who you were and who your uncle was, and I was hanging out with Race Rudisil up here, and one of my second or third trips up here, we went to your house.
Oh, okay.
And I got to meet your uncle and
Yeah,
actually meet him and talk to him, and we saw all the stuff, man, and the engines and the cars, and it was amazing. And it was almost a godsend that this guy has created this amazing life and legendary racing life, and it accumulated all these cool hot rods and parts. And when he passed away, they didn't just go to auction. They didn't just fade away.
No.
He had someone to carry it on.
Yeah.
What year did your uncle pass away?
2005, the year I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you, you inherited an amazing collection of history, which isn't easy.
No.
It's not.
No.
People think it's like hitting a lottery. It's not always that way. It's a lot of responsibility. You got to have places to put the stuff. And
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
stuff is cool, but if you don't have somewhere to put stuff, that's hard.
17 years old trying to pay for a shop.
Yeah.
Pay for, you had 2 houses, so, had to do that. And, so yeah, it was, I grew up real quick,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to put out,
I
probably
remember
around $1,500 a month.
Jeez.
And I didn't have a job, so, like I said, I just graduated high school. But I knew, always been in the parts business. I knew what I could sell stuff for, and, I was still at the swap meets buying stuff so I can live. And I did that for about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And even moved out to Denver and worked at a hot rod shop out there, and was still paying storage and stuff for all the stuff and all the cars and everything. But it just got to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore, and I was selling off his stuff just to live, and it just wasn't right. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I gotta get my shit together here.
I remember superchargers. I remember engines, seeing lots of engines,
Yeah.
odd engines. He had some
yeah.
neat stuff. What is some of the odd stuff? And
He had just shit 3 blown flatheads. You think the stuff in the
and they weren't typical blowers. They weren't
No,
talking
no.
like a 471 normal blower, a little tiny blower like things. They were.
There was a Jetson supercharger, which was pretty rare. I actually got that running. I made 1 out of 3 when I was about 18 or 19 or so. Just took all 3 of them apart and took all the best parts and made 1.
Wow.
He had a Latham blown flathead that he never got to really finish, but he had a lot of machine work done into it, and just never happened.
Wow.
Then he had a McCullough blown flathead and a 46 convertible. That it was pretty cool.
That is so neat.
You think all the stuff you had in the garage, but my bedroom was full. I probably had 75 Stromberg 97s in my room. And some of them we just pulled off running engines, and he's like, yeah, where are you going with that carburetor? I said, you're going in my room. And he's like, no, you're not.
You gotta. Well, some kids have beer can collections.
Right, yeah.
You had a Stromberg collection.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
What? Tell us some other racing stories with him. What were some of his bigger moments, big wins?
Unfortunately, never had a national event win.
Really?
Many runner-ups.
Yeah.
and a lot of first-round losers too.
Oh yeah, but
that's going to happen. But yeah, never won a national event. Many match races throughout the East Coast and around here, and I mean, he went as far as California. And
I was going to ask you, did he
events
travel
out there and stuff like that? But yeah, I don't think it was really about winning. It was just being out there with the guys and seeing, just hanging out, racing.
That's so cool. What kind of hauler did he have? Truck?
He had like a 67, 68 Ford pickup
with just
a 460 in it. And
nice.
Yeah, just actually an open trailer.
Really?
At sometimes.
Wow, that's cool.
I know the Frito Bandito trailer. It was really nice. Painted up just like the car. I mean, it was spotless. Had polished Ansons on it on the trailer, and it was a pretty cool trailer. Even after the car wrecked, he still had the trailer, and I think Shirley may have borrowed it a couple times.
Really?
With the funny car and stuff like that, but it was really neat.
That's so cool. What now? Has any of his cars surfaced? I know you have got one, or you've got a car.
I do have one car. That would be the '75 Logie rear engine car.
Yes.
That car has maybe 8 to 10 laps on it.
Really?
It went to Beeline Dragway in Arizona for the AHRA opener show, and then it went to Pomona, and that was it. Dick LaHaye drove it. It was a good friend of his from Lansing who just recently passed away, and it's a pretty sad deal there.
Yeah. Yep.
So I grew up with him,
Tell me about LaHaye. I never met him, never knew. I just read his name in all the books.
Really smart guy, really nice guy, real humble. It was just somebody I grew up with, and he was just another guy to me, but to some others, like, oh crap, it's Dick LaHaye.
Yeah.
But no, he was a really cool guy. I remember going to his shop all the time, and huge shop, and he'd have the big checks you get from winning the race, and it's a 3 foot by 6 foot cardboard cutout check, and they're plastered all over the the shop, and I just look, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. And then he had his trophy room in the basement of his house and stuff, and just countless Wallies.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
So cool.
But he was a hot rodder, all the way up to the day he died.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is very cool. Who were some of the other big name drag racers around here, around Detroit area?
Well, you got.
I'm an implant, so you got to educate me, man.
Al Bergler, I grew up in his shop too. He just had a scrap pile of aluminum body panels and dragster noses, and there I am, 4 or 5 years old, just beating them with a hammer and stuff like that. I wish I would have kept them now. That's a cool piece, but hell, I didn't know any different. I was just a little kid. But growing up in his shop, and everybody came there. Tom Prock, who actually. Who drove my uncle's funny car, he'd be there, or Bob Pacito, who drove my uncle's funny car as well, another one, he'd be there. I mean, there's just all kinds of guys,
That's so cool.
And here I am, just
yeah.
There I am, just hanging out,
Yeah, like you said, your uncle started off as the kid hanging out at the gas station. That's,
And then, I guess I never really thought about that.
You were the kid hanging out with the adults.
Yeah.
And now we come full circle. On Instagram, what is your Instagram? 529 Coupe.
Yeah.
If you go to his Instagram, you'll see you are involved with the Detroit Tiger vintage funny car today.
Yep.
And every time I see, I ask silly questions about it because I know nothing about it, but it intrigues me. Tell me what that car is. Who built it? The size of the engine? What class? Is it top alcohol? What is that?
It's a nostalgia alcohol car.
Okay.
The car originally was a nitro funny car, but Steve Tomosic, he runs just alcohol in it, and we've actually gone faster on alcohol than the car did back in the 70s on nitro.
And what makes that? The clutches and the tire technology?
Just technology and parts and stuff like that. It's an all aluminum TFX block, 500 cubic inch.
Yeah.
But they were, back then they were running 480 cubic inch Keith Black motors and stuff. So, I mean, those were aluminum too. But just the technology and the blowers have come such a long way.
Really?
If you make it to Milan for that show, that blower is just set on kill. And I mean, it's nuts. It's just wicked sounding.
How did you get hooked up with that car? I mean, it's so cool because that's the car your uncle campaigned, and now you're hooked in with it. And,
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, you're not just cleaning the tires. I'm seeing
No.
you drop the body down. You're
Yeah.
giving the sign for the burnout. You're backing him up. You're doing
Yeah.
everything. Tell me about that.
Steve ran the car with a CUDA body on it, and he called me one day, and we're good friends, you know. He called me one day and he goes, "Hey, what do you think about? I think I can get a Monza body." And he goes, "You want to, recreate the Tiger?" And I'm like, "Shit, yeah, let's do it. Is it done yet?" And so that happened, and it was exciting because I'm sending him pictures. I'm going over there, and the Root Brothers, they had lettered it.
Cool.
Steve painted it himself. The Root Brothers did all the lettering on it.
Good.
And so basically it was just a body swap. Steve had did all the tree work and the tin work and stuff. And it was, I don't know, it took me a while to actually realize what I was working with. I was like, it's just another funny car. But, after a year of running the Tiger, it really hit me. And where it really hit me was when we went to Indy, the U.S. Nationals. There was probably a dozen funny cars on the grandstand side, and they were on display all weekend. And they asked us, "Hey, this is a legal car. Do you want to make an exhibition pass?" And Steve's like, "Shit, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's do this." So I believe it was Friday or Saturday night, right before Fuel Funny Car qualifying.
Man. The stands are packed.
The stands are packed. I mean, it's just getting dark out. And I'm standing there, they're doing ceremony shit. And I'm standing there on the starting line, and with all the big name crew chiefs and stuff like that, there's a few pictures floating around. I'm just standing there, and you're right under the arch, the walkway at Indy, and it brought a tear to my eye for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm standing right where my uncle did.
Man, that's so cool.
It was pretty badass.
It's one of those times you can feel the history in the air.
For sure.
You know
it. Yeah, I mean, my heart was pounding. I'm sure Steve was too. He's like, "Man, I can't screw up," because it was on TV. It was on TV, and everybody's watching them, and they fired the car up, put the body down, did the burnout, and Steve just loves doing burnouts. So, I mean, him and John Forrest could go in the competition with doing burnouts. And he'll get all sideways and keep her going.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so he did that, and he backed up, and I'm like, I'm pumped, and get him back far enough, and he told me before, he's like, "I'm going to do some dry hops."
Cool.
And I'm like, "Shit, yeah."
Yeah, no one does that anymore.
Right. And so I think he did about 3 of them. And I'm like, holy crap, there's fuel coming out of the front of the tank and stuff. I'm like, some videos you can see me doing, "Hey man, chill out. But staged them, and there was a couple pretty awesome photos of me, doing the final adjustments on the injector and stuff,
cool.
And making sure he was ready to go, and give him a pound on the side of the body, and away he went, and he ripped off a 590 pass,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
God.
It was awesome that weekend. And I was doing double duty that weekend, working on the top alcohol car.
Oh shit.
And so they were on totally opposite sides of the racetrack and stuff. But I actually cackled that car too.
Did you?
And Steve's been trying to get me to wanting to drive the car, and I'm like, yeah, and I don't really fit in it. And
I'm sure they can adjust that.
Well, yeah, it'd be a whole new chassis. I need pretty wide in the shoulders, but I sat in the car, and I was fine. The car's running. Give it a couple squirts and stuff, and it was hot, and I'm sweating. So we get done, and we towing back to the pits, and put the body down, and I was like, holy shit. This is...
Things changed?
Yeah, because it's just, all the tin work is, right on the side of you, and it's just a tunnel. That's all you're looking through, and I was like, holy crap, I don't know if I can do this,
shit.
Actually go down the track.
Yeah.
But, we're working on some, eventually probably get into one.
Good.
And, yeah.
It's one, it's one of them deals. If you don't, you're always going to wonder.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
got to try it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, who am I to say I have never climbed in one? But you got to try it. Take us through. A lot of people listening to us are going to be racers, and even sprint car racers, Indy car racers. We know that with top drag racing today, especially the top fuel cars, and even a lot of the classes, they're completely rebuilding engines between rounds. It's insane. They've got an entire army of people that come in and rebuild the car, the engine, tear it all the way down between rounds. And I understand, and I know you guys don't have to go that far, but take us through when a car comes back from a race. Take us through your whole get up of what all you guys do, and then getting it to the line and making the pass.
It's really not much. Car gets back, goes up in the air, take the plugs out of it, check those. Covers off, I'll run hot lash.
Okay.
Make sure everything's fine. Matt, he will adjust the clutch and dump the oil.
What?
And we'll put new oil in it, new plugs, and put the tune in it, and that's it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool.
Pretty simple.
That's excellent, though.
Turnaround.
That's fun racing.
Yeah, turnaround could be like 20 minutes.
What size tires are you guys running on that?
16s or 17s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of air pressure?
Usually about 5 pounds,
Wow,
6 pounds.
that amazes me.
It's a huge, 32, 33 inch tall tire.
Wow.
And 5 pounds of air pressure.
Wow. Do you got any idea what the car weighs?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just so not familiar with that.
I would say probably right around 2,100 pounds.
How much fuel will it burn in a pass?
The alcohol, it doesn't burn as much as a fuel car. Plus, it's only have one pump.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask next.
Yeah.
Is does it have like the big huge pumps on it? You were saying the blower's super badass. Explain the difference to me, because I don't know. Between like a paddle blower or a screw blower, who makes the blower that's on that car?
Oh,
I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm going to test you here, man.
I think it's an SSI.
Yeah. Okay.
SSI. It's a 1471.
1471.
Yeah.
See, that right there impresses. I know what a 671 looks like. I know what an 871 looks like.
I think after 871, they kind of all look pretty much the same, with just a hair bit longer. But it doesn't.
Really?
Like when you go from 3 to 4 to 6, there's huge differences.
Yeah, they just get longer.
But once you get up past 8, or it's not that big of a difference. But looking at it,
Does the fuel only inject at the hat up top, or does it go in below the blower?
It goes
too?
into the ports, yeah. Right
So it's a direct port deal.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
God damn, I got to see that thing run.
Oh, it's wild,
I cannot wait.
I think we did about 30 laps last year. Maybe burned up a piston. One bearing. And of course, sometimes we'll throw the plugs back in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun racing, though.
Oh, for
when
sure.
It's like that makes it fun.
Yeah, with the top alcohol car, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's work too.
Oh yeah.
It's 14, 16-hour days. Make 2-3 laps, tear the motor completely down, build it back up, fire it up, get back to the line, and
I've seen you guys in victory lane.
Yeah.
With some of the wins and records you guys have.
The funny car is the third fastest nostalgia alcohol car in the world.
That's badass.
I believe it's a 622. Last year we were really shooting for a 5-second lap. There is one car that
really
has done that.
What's the speed on a run like that?
622, I think, was around 220.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent. It's cool because your car and the other cars that are running in the nostalgia funny car have the old style bodies on them.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like a door wedge. I mean,
Right.
they look like
the
funny cars we grew up with.
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
the models I built as a kid. That's what you're racing.
That's
cool.
That's what makes it cool.
It does. It
For
does.
sure.
I mean, it's the new cars are impressive on a technical level, and the speed and everything's
performance
impressive.
and everything,
Performance,
yeah,
everything. It's just
for sure.
It's mind blowing what they do.
Yeah.
But visually, I want to see your car more.
Oh,
you know, I just want
if we could put that body back on the on the new chassis,
Yeah,
that'd be
exactly.
killer.
Exactly.
But there again, it wouldn't go as fast as that new body.
Yep.
Because it's totally not aerodynamic. You know? But
now, as far as seeing that car run, tell me about your car club's name.
the Road Devils.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say, and this is a hell of a compliment, is I'm not a car club guy. I'm not a fan of car clubs. I never have been, mostly just because it's always a lot of politics. But
True.
you guys, I've noticed you guys are always having a good time, getting along, and you guys do cool shit.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed because I mean, we go to all the shows and I see all the car clubs that do their stuff, and some of them are bickering, but you guys are always having a blast. And I saw you guys were having a big event this year. You guys always have this event. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's just at Milan. There's going to be a Detroit Dragway reunion at Milan Dragway. But a couple of us club guys were always participating in the event at Milan, so we always miss our annual barbecue. So we decided, hey, why don't we have our event at the drag strip? And so that's with Steve, and he had some pull with Milan, and we got the show approved through the owners and stuff, and so it's going to happen June 1st.
Now, will that be June 1st? Will that be just the local guys in the club, or you guys have members all over?
Yeah, we're actually worldwide.
Yeah, I knew you guys had. When you guys have your annual meeting, it's a big meeting.
Yep, and we're actually going to have a world-run meeting at Trog this year.
Really?
Yeah.
At the Race of Gentlemen.
At the
That's
Race
cool.
of Gentlemen, yeah.
How many guys come to that, to a world meeting?
Shit, I'm a new member. Actually, this year I did my year probation or whatever.
Cool, yeah.
Shit it is,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
But yeah, I'd imagine there'd probably be 120, 130 people. We rented out a whole motel in Wildwood.
That's excellent.
It's
That'll be a good time.
Yeah, the whole hotel is all Road Devil, all guys.
That's
so.
cool. And I mean, you guys have the right kind of cars. A lot of traditional hot rods, a lot of fast stuff. The event at Milan, you guys will be running the funny car there.
Yes.
What all will be running there? Is it just a nostalgic event? Is it a normal,
It's a nostalgic event.
Okay.
Like I said, Detroit Dragway reunion.
So we have gassers there and stuff?
Yeah, there'll be plenty of gassers there. There's going to be 6 or 8 nostalgia alcohol funny cars.
Cool.
There's going to be a Cackle Fest, which usually includes 3 or 4 nitro cars. Yeah, I mean...
That's all heads up racing, right?
Yeah,
That's all
yep,
good
yep.
deal.
So.
We'll have to call Dad out and get his 409 car up there for that.
Well, actually, yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
he's got that dual quad 409 car too, so...
And I've yet to see it make a pass, so I got to go there and see that, and then get Dad to drive his up. You rolled in here tonight in your 32 coupe, and for those that don't know Tony, he's got a 32 5-window coupe that is just killer. It sits really low. It sits perfect, and I know Hammer Hank at Steadfast Hot Rods had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
He makes them sit right. Tell us about your coupe, and tell us about your other any other projects you got going on. What else are you trying to get finished or working on? I know your coupe. I saw you at the Week of Woodward Cruise on Wednesday night. I rolled up there just to kind of see what was going on, and I saw your coupe coming down the road, and it goes down a side road, and then these other guys are coming down the road. They're hanging out the windows. The cop lights are on. All hell's breaking loose. And tell us what had went down there.
My buddy Kenny is a photographer, and he's like, man, I got to get some rolling shots of the coupe on Woodward,
This was for Hot Rod?
Well, his buddy does work for Hot Rod.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was him and his buddy, and not sure if it's where it was going, but
Yeah.
I was like, shit, yeah, I'll do it. And he's like, yeah, meet me here at this time. It's gonna be the perfect light and whatever. So here we go. We're going down Roadward through Birmingham and stuff, which is sort of a ritzy area, and the cops probably don't really care too much for hot rodders or clowns hanging out of a window of a CT, Cadillac. So yeah, they got pulled over, and I was just kind of waiting for them, but then it downpoured, and
Yes, it did.
Hung out with you. And,
God, it rained hard, man.
What's his name? Randy?
Yeah, Randy, the Detroit biker that we had on the first podcast.
Yeah,
he rolled in a Cobra, like a polished silver Cobra, like a badass one. Like, damn, Randy, where'd you get that at? But tell us about the coupe. How'd that come about?
My uncle found it in Chicago, so we went to pick it up, and it was an old race car, and never really found any history about it. I'd kind of posted some stuff on social media of what it looked like, and nobody really remembered the car or anything, but it was on like a 48 Ford truck chassis.
Really? Is that where the 529 comes in?
No,
because I saw that on the doors at one point, didn't it?
Yeah, in the early days of that car being on the road. That actually comes from my mom's hospital room that she was in when she had passed away.
Oh, that's very, very cool.
So
that's good.
So she's always with me.
Yeah, man, that's neat. That's neat.
But hell, I forgot what I was talking about.
It was on a truck chassis.
Oh yeah, it was on a truck chassis, and it had like a 427 Ford set back.
Really?
10-inch behind the firewall.
Damn.
You know? And it was like a 85, 90-inch wheelbase. They had so it was a squirrely little son of a bitch when it was going down the track.
It's a wonder it survived.
Yeah, but it was already chopped, and it wasn't a bad chop, and so my uncle got a repop frame for it and stuff, and put a flathead, the Judson blown flathead in it and stuff, and he never actually got it going down the road before he passed. But
now was this a project that he was working on when you were a kid?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's real cool then. So
I didn't really care for the street rod kind of look with all the vintage parts you can find kind of deal on it, but so I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, and definitely couldn't do it without Henry at Steadfast. Him and his family really took care of me, and we've been friends forever. And he definitely has the look and nailed it. And I always wanted to paint it like a copper color. There's a Keith Wiesner tin sign that he did for Vintage Air.
Yes, I know that sign.
Yeah. It's a flying 32 coupe, and it's sort of that copper color. And I goes, that's the color I want. And boy, I paid for it. I tell you, it was an expensive color, but that's what I wanted. So man, that's what it had to have.
You nailed it. You nailed it. You amongst your speed equipment, you have ended up with a lot of rare stuff, and a lot of people out there know that I'm a Hallobrand guy. I like Hallobrand wheels, and you've got a set that I've never seen in my life. I've still yet to see another pair. Tell us about those wheels and what you've learned about them.
They're a 20-inch Hallobrand magnesium wheel that I would say is probably the early 60s, I would say. They're made by Mickey Thompson. They have a set of, I actually have 3 sets of Mickey Thompson 20-inch slicks.
That's crazy.
There's 950, 1050, and 1150 20 slicks.
Was he trying to drag race with those, or what was he?
Mickey was, he tried everything. He was in all types of racing, and he tried everything. As far as I know, he had ran some tracks in Southern California, and these wheels mounted on slicks would be at the tower, and if you were having trouble tuning your car and you wanted to try something different, throw these slicks on it, because nobody had 20-inch slicks or wheels.
Yeah.
Everybody had 15, 16s, and it was just something he tried. And from what I hear, the compound of that tire actually had crushed walnut shells in it.
Really?
And the idea was that walnut shells would grab the rubber that is on the track and get you going. Because back then, they just smoked them all the way down the track.
Yeah, that's wild.
So there's there's 2 pictures I've seen with these wheels on a front engine car. One's doing a burnout, and you can totally see because it's a 6-spoke, 20-inch. I mean, it's a huge wheel. It's actually like 33 and a half.
They look out of place on the car.
Yeah.
You can see it right off.
Yeah, they're huge. They're pretty cool.
That's wild.
I had them on the coupe during mock-up stage, and I was Henry is like, no, man, you're killing my look. You know, we got to do these steel wheels. And I'm like, man, but these are so badass. And he goes, yeah, but that's all you see when you look at that car. Your eye would just go to those rear wheels, and you could put those wheels on a turret or something. You know, basically.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
I
mean, they're an amazing set of wheels.
Yeah. Actually, I was cruising through eBay the other night, and a pair of 21s
Really?
had sold, and they were off the Challenger.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. There was no tires.
When I first saw your wheels, I thought right away with Mickey Thompson, land speed, but they're too wide. You know, they're wide wheels,
Right.
and the land speed stuff's narrow. And that's what threw me about those wheels you have. And just neat stuff. What other projects did you keep? You know, what other stuff you got squirreled away?
I still have 46 convertible that my uncle had.
Cool.
It had that balloon flatted in it, and it had sat for about 10 years, and I tried to get it going again, and it was just full of rust. The block was all full of rust, and I flushed it out, and the radiator, I got it record, and it never really ran all that great when my uncle had it going, you know. I mean, it wouldn't pull a greasy string out of a dead cat's ass, as he would say. You know? But so when it came time to really crack down on my 5-window, it kind of broke my heart. But you know, that motor was his pride and joy. But nowadays, nobody's running flatheads to a point, you know, and or want to spend that much money to go so slow. For that blower motor. So I ended up selling it, and I figured he would rather me enjoy the car more with a 327 in it and a 4-speed.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you drive the shit out of it. I see it all the time. I knew you'd roll in here tonight, rain or shine. I knew you'd roll in here with the coupe.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I'm gonna work on that car, get it going again.
How about the rear engine car, the 77 car?
75
75,
car.
yeah.
It's at Steve's house, and it can stay there for a while. You know, it's a 240-inch wheelbase car, so
wow,
it doesn't really fit in a standard garage. I did have it in my garage at home. I had two 36 3-window coupes, my 5-window, my 32 Vicky, Jerry's 40 coupe,
wow,
and the dragster in my garage. I had to take.
You can't work on anything though.
I
right?
couldn't work on anything. No. I actually had to lift the dragster up over Jerry's car and set it down to get it between everything.
Yeah.
But, no, it's at Steve's house, and basically all it needs is just an engine and a clutch and trans, and it'd be ready to go. I mean, it is as is from 75.
Wow.
And I'd put money on it that it is the most original car that is untouched. The only thing the guy did when my uncle sold it was take the name off of it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it.
So I mean, it's original paint. I mean, the kill wires.
God, I mean, the hardware, the bolt nuts and bolts, everything's original.
Yeah, everything is there.
Wow.
I mean, the oil pressure line. I mean, everything. It's got a Ram Charger's magnesium Dana rear end.
Jeez.
I mean, it's all there. All the body panels. It's all black lacquer. It's all pretty decent shape, you know.
Have guys? Has there been any movement with nostalgia rear engine cars?
You know, it's starting to come around.
I mean, the Indy car world that I come from is the rear engine cars are coming on strong.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the wave of it's the age wave, where
True.
You know, guys that when guys get in their 50s and 60s and they can afford high end race cars, whatever was hot when they were
a kid
is what's expensive. And,
Yeah.
you know, we saw the muscle cars hit 10, 15 years ago because all those baby boomers hit 60, 70 years old and they could afford it.
Right.
Now we're seeing guys that were kids in the 70s and the early 80s. Now they're getting in the 50s and 60s and you know, the early 70s Indy cars, the late 60s, 68, 69, those cars are just going through the roof price-wise, and they're coming out of the woodwork. And, you know, my customers have just as many rear engine cars as front engine. And I was wondering if that's happening in the drag world as well.
In the drag world, you know, there were so many front engine cars, and go through the years, and they've changed and become comp cars and whatever, and a lot of them got crashed and destroyed and whatever else, but there's only so many left that you can restore.
Yeah.
and actually bring back the original car. And you're just scrounging to come up. People are just scrounging to come up to restore something. So now the rear engine stuff's becoming a little more popular. And like you said, even some of the '80s cars are getting restored.
I saw a Bob Glidden car from that was a guy had restored, and it was maybe 78, like early 80, 81. And it was so cool because I remembered it. I'm like, oh, that's bitchin'. That's cool. I remember building that model,
My buddy Sean Dill down in Indy, he just recently, in the last couple of years, restored, I believe it was the '87 Don Perdome Skoll Trans Am.
Yeah.
And, I think the guy is out of Cleveland area, I think, that owns it. And,
I like that. I do.
The reason why he wanted that car is because that was the hot car when he was a kid, So
it's
weird. I mean, it's a nice car and everything. It's just, why would you? I can't get into restoring an '80s car.
And that's, that's funny. Guys like you and I our brains and our heads are stuck way back,
Right.
We firmly believe we were born in the wrong era.
I mean, if you go to my Instagram page, that's what it says. Living the American dream, making a paycheck, going racing, only in the wrong decade.
Exactly. And it's the 1986-87 Rick Mears yellow Penske Indy car. I love that race car because I remember I was 11 years old cheering for that race car, and one came up in an auction a year ago, and I was just kept staring at it like, why am I drawn to that car? And then it dawned on me, I'm like, oh, that was the car I was cheering for. I want no part of it. I don't want to work on it, but something in me was staring at it. So it's cool. With the early rear engine cars, what for someone that might not know, when was the front engine and the rear engine switch over? I know Garlett's had a lot to do with that, and
Garlett's.
What year was that?
Wasn't the first one with one, but he made it work.
Correct, exactly.
I want to say 71.
Okay, I'm thinking so.
Actually,
because I know the Jade Grenade front engine car that I've got to mess around with and crew on, that was one of the last front engine cars.
Yeah.
It's a really long car.
Yeah.
And but what I was getting at is the early rear engine cars that in the 71, 72, early 70s, when they're real short and they have the little single hoop roll bar, they look cool.
Oh yeah,
I like that shit. They look
short
neat.
Little wing on it.
Yeah, the little stand, the wing is on straight up and down.
Straight up and down. Yeah,
and it's a little aluminum wing. I like those cars.
Yeah.
Hilton's have one in Cincinnati that I stared at, and I like that car. It won't surprise me. I'm sure we'll see a lot of those coming out soon and running
for sure. For sure.
Especially with the popularity of the vintage funny car with you, like what you guys are running.
Yeah.
It's just going to follow. The front engine cars have almost all been deemed to Cackle Fest cars. Tyler Hilton and them guys, they're running now what are they running with a front engine car? It's a front engine dragster, nostalgia front engine dragster.
Nostalgia front engine dragster, top fuel.
I wish they looked a little more old. I wish.
Yeah, his car doesn't look bad.
It's beautiful. It's the best one by far.
Right. Yeah.
I just wish
a lot of them got that high chair look.
I
can't stand that.
And that's exactly what I was getting at. Yeah. And I know they have tire rules on some of them where they can't put a monster tire on them.
Right.
Which on a funny car you wouldn't see that, but on a dragster
it's visually out in the open.
Yeah. What's your future plans for this summer with racing and whatnot? You guys ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready to go. Actually, Steve contacted me the other day and said, "Hey, if we get our clutch back Saturday, we're firing it up, on Sunday." So we'll see what's going on with that. When is our first race? Shit, I don't know. between the two teams, there's 12, 14 races.
Cool, man. Good.
I know we're gonna go testing in Indy middle of April, towards maybe little end of April.
Good.
And Steve might come along as well and try to. Actually, asked me the other day, he's like, "How many cars are in the Nostalgia Alcohol car meets at the divisional races where there's only 8 spots to qualify?" I was like, shit, sometimes there's only 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, they go right to the finals. The first round is the finals.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what's the rules? And I'm like, I don't know. I think you can do it, man. Of course, we don't, they run, your average top alcohol funny car will run 5 55,
Wow.
something like that.
Yeah.
You know, we've yet to break the fives, but shit,
But
there's
still, yeah.
you know 8 spots to fill, and
Hell
there's
yeah.
only 4 cars or something. So
It all comes down to more track time.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, but so we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be a fun year.
Good. Good. Man, I appreciate you coming on here and telling us a story about Poncho and your history with it. That's when I meet guys like you, and to me, you're a kid. You know,
Yeah.
how old are you now?
31. Yeah, I still think I'm a kid.
You know,
sometimes,
yeah,
but-
you'll always be Tony, the kid.
Right.
To me, it makes my heart feel good to know guys like you are carrying on tradition of old legendary racers.
Yeah.
And you know, you were taught by him firsthand. And instead of, unfortunately, a lot of kids don't understand the value of that, and they don't do anything with it. And you have, man. You've done it.
Well, I mean, it's all I know, so that's what I'm gonna do.
You've done
you know?
it, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you guys want to hear more from Tony, go on his Instagram, 529 Coop. Follow him on there. Go watch him race, and you guys will see they're not doing parade laps. This is the real thing.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.